One more series here to determine who is going to make up our round of 4. And we guarantee know it's going to be a Zerg, but which one is it going to be? As Dark is going to go up against Solar. My gentleman to my left, I have De Muslim, I have Rotterdam. Guys, Dark versus Solar. Before all of this went down, Rotterdam was there, studiously checking some things, and I thought to myself, yeah, Dark must have a winning record. But apparently not.
No, it's slightly in favor of Solar historically, and I'm with you, James. That was a little bit surprising to me as well, but it's pretty damn close, especially in maps. It's like 39 to 37, so it's pretty even. But they've played on a couple of big stages as well, and even on the big stages, Solar has done historically well against Dark. Dark, of course, had his big victories over Solar, even 3-0'd him once in this very building 2 years ago in the round of 12, so it's not like Solar always wins, but I was a little bit surprised by it. And the reason why is just that, in my mind, Dark is a better player than Solar. I think Solar is good. I just think Dark is more than good. Dark is godlike.
Sure. I mean, one thing that really shines through when you think of Dark is he's cocky, he's confident, he's arrogant.
That's why I like it.
He talks about how he is better than everybody. Even for a long time, he's talking about how he's better than Serral, got 3-1 by him. Oh, I'm still better than Serral, gets 3-0'd. He's still better than Seller, apparently, according to Dark. But that confidence really shines through in his gameplay. I've never seen somebody bust so many people down so easily. Like, he was the foreigner killer for a long time, but going up against Solar, it's obviously going to be a tough match.
You guys remember the WCS video they made for Dark? Not last year, but the year before. It was an amazing video where that really shined through, where he said, I actually get angry in tournaments because I don't just want to beat them. I want to absolutely destroy them. I want to show the world. Every time I see somebody else lifting a trophy, I get mad because that trophy should be mine. Dark is a really cool dude, and he's actually kind of friendly as well if you talk outside of, or if you talk to him outside of competitions. But, you know, in competitions, he's a killer. But that's the way it should be, right? If you want to be a champ, you need to have that mindset of you being the best. Otherwise, you're never going to get there.
That's almost a Jadon-esque approach to the game.
No, absolutely.
Well, gentlemen, of course, we saw Solar be very impressive against TY just before, and Dark very impressively, quietly so, over in his group stage. It's time now to get our final game underway here for day number 5. It's Solar going up against Dark.
Stats currently sits comfortably in the semifinals as he awaits his next opponent, which will be one of these two players. This is a rematch of the SSL Grand Finals from several years ago, and it's bound to be a very intense match. Please welcome on stage, it is Dark and Solar!
G'day mates, we got one more best of 5 for you and it is going to be a ZVZ. We went PvP, ZVZ, PvP and we're back. Full circle, Dark versus Solar to face off against Stats in the semi, but who gets there? Who earns their seat? What do you think, Pig?
It's going to be a good match here to finish things off. These two have played many times over the years and there's really been a back and forth rivalry between them. A couple of years ago for that spot of best Zerg in Korea. Some of the most epic matches in early Legacy of the Void were between these two, but since then Dark has ascended to getting better and better. He's become so strong over the years, he has so much experience, and most importantly of all, he's still got that confidence. Some call it arrogance, I call it confidence. I love the attitude he comes into these series with. He's always convinced he's going to come out the victor.
And it's well earned too. It's hard to think of a player out there, I mean, except for what I would have said Serral, as someone who would actually be favored against this guy. He would either be on even footing at best against a lot of the people that are here in this round of 12. But most of them I would definitely favor Dark against, including Solar, to be honest. Roddy nailed it on the desk. They're actually very, very close in map score, but that's over a pretty long history together. And while Solar has been getting the better of him sometimes in these online cups, Dark generally wins when it comes to the local area network events.
Absolutely, he brings it. When it comes down to the live event, the alien setting, the big stage, lots of people, lots of pressure, lots of conditions to deal with. And
no, she's not. Go nuts out there.
Oh, this is going to be an awesome way to finish off the day. Tomorrow, of course, is the semis and finals, fighting for that last spot in the semis. The winner of this is going to be going through to face off against Stats. A monster waiting for whoever comes out. But right now, it's just Zerg versus Zerg. That's what they're facing down the barrel of. It's the mirror matchup, the one where every little detail matters. Every screw-up gets punished.
Certainly does, as we saw earlier with Serral versus Sue. One small difference can snowball into a win. And let's see if Solar can get the victory here and have one of the best showings in his career versus Dark, who is no stranger to semifinals and finals himself. And the top left, it is the man in question, the Blue Zerg. This is Dark.
And down here in the bottom right-hand side, his Zerg opponent, the red player, he is Solar.
Right off the bat, no early pools. The Gentleman's Agreement, ZVZ opener, both players looking to go hatchery first.
Well, they are playing, of course, on the overgrowth of 2019. It is Port Alexander. The map where people don't really rush too much. Takes a while to get all the way down that ramp and across the map. And of course, we do often just see these standard expand openings on both sides. Solar's a player who traditionally has been more tricky, and I actually, he's also a player who I was watching play against Ragnarok previously in the group stages, and it was fascinating because I felt like strategy-wise, some of his tactics were a little bit superior, and yet he ended up losing the series to Ragnarok nonetheless, simply because it felt like when the game got scrappy and the multitasking started, Solar just couldn't quite keep up. So I do feel like Dark has a mechanical edge in this one.
I have to give the biggest Owen Wilson wow to this opening from Dark. Wow.
Wow.
2 hatch before pool.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god. That's a little bit mad here.
Or 3 hatches at what we often call it, but building 2 extra hatcheries, of course, then the gas, then the pool. And going to be hoping the Overlord doesn't spot that straight away, or Solar might be able to adjust and adapt. Basically, this is a greedy opening out of Dark. Dark is a gambler. He does not try to sit back and just rely purely on superior skill alone. He likes to take a risk here or there, and this is actually not that big a risk in Legacy of the Void. Yes, your spawning pool's delayed, but on a big map like Port Alexander, it just means Dark is going to have a little bit later Zergling speed, a little bit later Queens, but he's going to have a lot more lava production once that 3rd hatch is up.
Yeah, I mean, you either get away with it, or you, at worst, you cancel it, which isn't the biggest of deals. You know, you still have that natural hatchery up, you still have money in the bank to be able to get the drones and the lings out at a timely fashion with that pool finishing up now for Dark. He can start that Queen production, and while he can't quite afford a Queen at the 3rd just yet, it's on the way now.
Lings coming across the map there for the scout from Solar. Is aware of what he's facing off against now. The Overlord having spotted it, of course. And is just going to take his own 3rd. So stock standard. A lot of people feel like you have to respond to this. Solar going what's very common, doing the exact standard play. And he's just going to try and use the aggressive potential of the faster Ling speed, the faster Baneling Nest to poke, pressure, and maybe dig for a mistake or two. But the only real disadvantage Solar's going to be dealing with is if Dark kind of goes pedal to the metal, non-stop Ling Bane, he'll have a few more Zerglings out of the map. You've got good Baneling control, that's not the most important thing. Banelings, obviously a single one can take out about 50 Zerglings, so as long as you micro those correctly, a Ling advantage isn't always game ending.
Does this creep shipper block a potential wall in for Dark? I think it does.
Yeah, going for the Baneling tech though, so probably not going to be relying on that too much. And you could always probably wall just to the left of the Baneling nest and then down,
It's one of the good things about Port Alexander, I guess, for players that like to wall off, is that it's just a 4 supply depot wall. I speak in Terran when it comes to walls, so...
3 Evo chamber, 4 supply depot.
There we go. Pig is Grandmaster in every race, so he knows every single wall you can imagine. We got a big influx of Lings here from Dark, and this does not look defensive, Pig.
No, 12 Zerglings already there on the way in that production tab. A ton already out here. Ling speed's about to kick in. This is what you often see off that 3rd hatchery. Dark, he says, I've gotten away with the opening. It's time to leverage that lava advantage. A ton of Ling Bane going across. Solar's already going for a lair and an Evo chamber. I believe he cancelled the Evo chamber there. He starts making Banelings, but he needs more of them.
He certainly does. One of them a little bit exposed in front of that natural, but it looks like Dark's sights are set on this third base.
Ooh, the Queen in the open! That's a disaster!
Nice micro from Dark, and not such great control here from Solar. Losing that Queen, losing a Baneling for one Ling trade. Great micro from Dark so far. This attack's looking good.
Where are the other queens here for Solar? Only one queen was on the low ground. He didn't protect her. She's gone. He needs to get extra queens down for him to stabilize and make this defense easy. Right now, Dark taking advantage of the momentum. He's up 10 workers.
Solar trying to squeeze out a lair here. Let's see what his next step is after that's finished. But Dark still pressing the issue here, going for the third base. This one, Baneling. Oh, lovely connection there. A bunch of Lings going down. Solar seemingly unfazed. He still continues to concentrate on holding on. Dark switching gears. He got an extra gas back at home and a Roach Warren, but he is not slowing down that aggression. He's getting a handful of drones, but still so many more Lings being made.
Yeah, Dark is not going for upgrades until just now the Evo Chamber starts up. Solar realizing he's a bit behind, swapping into the Spy attack. He's saying Roach Tech isn't going to cut it. Let's go for the Mutas, building a lot more Zerglings and going to make some more Banelings as well. I think Solar's going to look to get a bit of counter pressure on when he finally stops this. But you know what? There's even more Banelings on the south side. Dark is just continuing to press across this map.
He certainly is. We've got a couple Banelings here from Dark, well positioned actually, not too exposed here against Solar's army. He knows that he can cover that area, and he's just setting in one Baneling at a time. It takes a hit from a Baneling of Solar, but continues to try and press forward. These two Banelings were morphed under an Overlord for Solar. He does see them. He breaks off the Queen to try and intercept. These two Banelings could connect for 2 to 4 here. Would be a good trade for Dark. Solar microing around him though.
Good micro there on both sides. Both of them avoiding disaster, not letting those Banelings get in. A single Baneling damaged the workers in the natural, but the other one was sniped down. And remember, a Baneling alone is not that scary. Those drones will regenerate. It's in pairs that they can annihilate big clumps of workers. The Spy is almost ready for Solar. He's weathered the storm for now. Yes, he's down in workers. There's still a larger ground army out for Dark, but Dark is being pushed back to his side of the map. Solar now has a chance to get out the Mutalisks and leverage that air control. That's going to give him a chance to get back on par with the workers and progress to the next stage.
Now, Dark has had a Baneling go through the natural. He has not seen a Roach Warren. He hasn't seen many upgrades at all from Solar. He hasn't seen Evo Chambers. So he's got to know that something's up here, that Solar has got a trick up his sleeve. We know it's going to be Mutalisks. We're seeing a nice Swam here from Dark. It looks like he just wants to end the game before whatever tier 2 tech comes out for Solar. It happens to be an issue. He just sees the Mutalisks now.
Hands darting across these keyboards at lightning speed. Both Zerg players here. The Mutalisks looking to assert map control for Solar. Dark preparing for a gigantic Nidus Worm assault. Now those Mutas right now hunting down the vision on the map. Solar realizes this is a threat. These Zerglings spread down on the south. Those are ready to dart in and to spot so that a Nidus Worm can be placed on the front end. That's a big risk. How many Queens have we got out right now for Dark? It looks like 8.
Wow.
Oh, with Transfuse, that's more than a match for just 9 or 10 Mutas. 12 Mutas, 13 Mutas though. If you can get up to 15 or 16, they should be able to overwhelm these Queens.
The Nidus has been loaded and it is being raised up here by the third base of Solar. Solar sees it, but Lings take a while to get rid of this Armored Worm as it burrows.
Ooh, loses a Muta there, a bit unfortunate of course.
And Dark with a run by.
Perfect play here by Dark to distract Solar. Solar's going for a Ling run by of his own. One drone goes down, but good response by Solar. Oh, the Banelings are in position, Maynard!
Wow, Solar not looking there during the incorrect time, and Dark defends, but he also attacks. And he's coming through with a bunch of Queens, dropping spores on top of the Nidus so that he can't lose it to these Mutalisks of Solar.
Oh, the Muta count's growing. But you know what? If Dark just slow pushes this, the spores are impossible to engage into. These Lings coming in, realizing that there is a lot of Roaches popping out reactively there for Dark. Roaches in the mineral line at the third as well. Solar's got to get out of there. That's not a good fight.
Man, Dark is all over this.
He's got to leave. He's got to save those Lings.
Get out of there, buddy. I know you really want damage, but you can't headbutt through this wall. We've got Dark and these Queens with the Spore Crawler coverage really holding on here. The Transfusion micro from Dark, the Mutalisk micro from Solar.
Lots of Mutas going down. 1 or 2 Queens fell, but the Transfuses were great. Solar here trying to hang on, but the inevitable spread forwards of that creep is allowing the Spore Crawlers to march onwards. And when you're relying on the Mutas breaking through, those spores create such a problem. There we go. I love that doggedness from Solar. He's going to abandon the third base while backstabbing with his own Zerglings on the third of Dark. But Dark, as always with those quick reactions, evacuates his own base. And now it's getting scrappy. The Lings might be able to engage on those Queens. Is Solar going to dive on it? He might be able to go for them now. They don't have a lot of support.
All the Spore Crawlers haven't got any creep to burrow everyone here on the ramp. They're getting attacked by the Lings, but Dark coming in with a sandwich. He's got Roaches on one side, Queens on the other side. They're the bread, and the Mutalisks are the meat. Can he cut through here? The Mutas are doing so much damage, the Queens are going down. The Roaches without air support can be taken down by these Mutalisks, but the Spore Crawlers do burrow in the end.
There's just not enough Mutas left in the sky, only 15 left remaining, and whilst the Roaches don't shoot up, they've already eliminated the third base. Dark hanging on to 50 drones back at home. 3 base economy up for the Blue Zerg player. Dark in control of this game. He's even got 1,500 gas in the bank if he chooses to macro up at some point. But for now, it's looking like Roach Queen and these Spore Crawlers are going to be able to finish it.
Yeah, these Spore Crawlers can't be dealt with by the Mutalisks anymore. There's even more Queens reinforcing here from Dark. And while it looks like he's pretty all in, he is doing so much damage to Solar. I just don't see an option for Solar here. Yes, he has a lot of Mutas with +1 attack, but there are so many Mutalisk anti-countermeasures here for Dark, and he's just losing so many resources. Taps out for game 1. Dark the victor.
Beautiful play there by Dark. Decisive as always. Takes the risky opening with a quick third base and follows it up with non-stop Lingbane aggression. Moves into the mid-game with a small advantage and seals the deal with the Nidus Worm. Dark, impetuous in his attitude towards his opponents, but also in his gameplay. Just crushes through Solar. A very convincing game 1 for Dark.
Yeah, and he's actually taking this very seriously there. He's centering himself and getting ready for the next map. And even though he talks a big game, he is definitely respecting Solar here, and you absolutely have to. This kid's a monster. Well, game 1 going for Dark doesn't necessarily mean we're going to have our 7th 3-0 of the night.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough match for Solar, but I can't even imagine him going down 0-3. Solar's such a good player. And one map there, you know, things didn't go right for Solar early on. A couple good Baneling hits on him. The third hatch getting one over him. I think both players are going to fight this one out and take it through to the bitter end for sure. Solar, of course, a player who has invented a lot of interesting and unique styles over the years. He's one of the first players to really show some of the unique anti-Protoss styles back in Heart of the Swarm. He was so good in Pro League, always coming out there back in the day. And here in Zerg vs. Zerg, he's definitely got his match out for him. But interesting to see what he brings in the next game. And that one, it didn't feel like he was aiming for Mutalisks from the start. He went for that Evo chamber, never ended up using it, but I think that was a response to the fact that he'd taken a lot of damage.
Yeah, certainly. It was a bit of a Hail Mary, the Mutas, which, you know, there are a lot of players out there like your Scarlets, Rayners, etc., that actually like to go into Mutalisk play and would love the game to go in that direction and deliberately try and guide it that way. Solar definitely seemed to have done it as a result of knowing that Roaches were coming, of knowing that he wasn't going to have an army that could stand and fight on the ground and trying to take it to the skies instead. But Dark, he just reacted perfectly. I don't know what else to say. He's just, he just got the better of him in that game.
Yep, nice, clean, decisive play there. Taking the 1-0 victory as this man in the top right. We need you here, you passionate fans still down here at the venue. Those of you, put your hands together to support Dark.
And I know that this guy's got a lot of foreign fans as well. He's going for the cheeky 12 pull here. In the bottom left from Triumphant Song Gaming, this is Solar.
Talked about how he likes those creative builds. And you know what? I have a feeling he's going to do a Ragnarok, Maynard. I think we're going to see, because that is such an early drone going across, we're going to see the hatch cancel spine crawler inside Ragnarok's, Dark's main base. We saw Ragnarok's do this earlier today. Actually, where he's rallied it, maybe he's just going to try and build it on the edge of creep and hope it doesn't get spotted. Either way, he's going to try and hide the Zerglings. So it's very important for Dark's Overlord to not see his Zerglings, because if he sees them coming, there's a good chance he goes and checks for the spine crawler.
Yeah, this drone is trying to circle around the vision of Dark, and so far so good. Although the spawning pool's on the left of the creep here, there is a little bit of.
Yeah.
Oh wow, there it is.
Gonna do it. So the reason you do this is that hatchery actually creates a little bit of creep immediately, cancels it, and before that creep disappears, immediately pops that spine crawler down. The drone's being pulled. The Zerglings rallying. There's 80 minerals left in the bank. How many drones are left mining in the main base? Just 2, just enough to keep rallying a few more pairs of Zerglings across this map and to build one more spine crawler Solar in the natural. This way, if Dark decides to evacuate and run to the natural, you've got one there as well. And oh! Dark knows this is an option. He scouts for it, and he finds the Spine Crawler. That is massive.
It certainly is. The Spine Crawler already taking damage from being built off. Creep means that the drones can kill it, and that's a good start for this haul from Dark, but it is still a long, hard road here with Solar coming in with so many more lings, and these drones getting in front of the middle line. Dark, obviously, with a lot more drones. He's got 19 versus the 12. Ooh. The drills here from Solar.
Nice pocket micro there on both sides. Both of them stacking up their drones and then attack moving so that every single drone attacks at once. But Dark, the one with the better control on the workers, he's also got more workers there. His drones winning the fight, but the Zerglings for Solar coming in. And those Zerglings, oh, they get us around on the Spine Crawler, Maynard.
They certainly do, and they're still cutting on through. Solar's not done yet. This Queen comes out, and she can take away the surface area, getting between the hatchery and the spawning pool. Hard for Solar to get rid of that Queen there. He's got his Spine Crawler coming in, reinforcements. Looks like he made it in the natural, and he brought it up to the high ground.
Oh, that Spine Crawler is going to finish up here rooting, and we see Dark realizing he can't engage it. He's trying to mine more. The Spine going to move forward. Dark waits for it. He goes in. Notice how Solar being very careful. His lings represent so much damage output, so he refuses to fight. Lets the Spine root. And Dark now going to evacuate to the natural, but the Spine Crawler's hot on his heels. Two Zerglings get surrounded.
And they certainly do, and they go down here. It's actually pretty similar army supplies for both players, the Queen counting as well. That one ling of Dark pulling back out of the battle gets taken down in the end. Solar's just chasing down Dark's exodus. These refugees from the main base going into the natural. The Spine Crawler going to chase them, and his drones and lings still coming in to try and hold on. Can Dark stop this flood of attacks? It looks like he does! Oh my god! If you can't beat Dark with a game like that, how do you beat him?
That was so masterful, just avoiding the Spine Crawler, realizing it's got 2 armor, 300 hit points, you're not going to take it down. Dark just keeps on isolating the lings and the drones on their own, and just fantastic calm under pressure. And you know what, just checking at the last moment with that drone, saying, you know what, people have been trying that on this build, on this map. People have been trying the hidden Spine Crawler, checks for it, and even then Solar almost breaks him. That is shattering for Solar. Now down 0-2. The big gamble in match 2 doesn't pay off. He's got to win 3 maps in a row.
There's been so many one-sided series, but it's so funny because these players in these series actually aren't extremely favored over each other. There's a lot of players, like for instance, TY and Solar are actually very, very closely matched in skill, with TY even perhaps even being favored in most of the times. But the 3-0 scores just not indicative of how closely matched these players are and how close some of these games have been, but there certainly has been some very one-sided games. Game 1 being very one-sided for Dark. You know, Stats Neeb, Game 1 being very, very one-sided. Oh man, this has been a weird one today.
Yeah, there's so much strategy involved, right? There's so many different choices. So it's not just, oh, these 2 players are even mechanically, they usually trade maps. Once in a while, you get down here on the stage, everything's on the line, and one player just picks the build that happens to be perfect for dismantling the other. You've got one player who goes down a map, and suddenly, of course, you've got to fight not only your opponent, but those doubting voices in the back of your head. And that's where Solar is now. It really is a story of can Solar kind of stabilize. You can see Dark here, completely unperturbed, of course. He's up 2-0. Everything's going according to plan, but Solar, the battle is here for him. He's got to stabilize. He's got to stay calm. And he's got to just kind of disregard these first 2 maps and find a way to go into the 3rd one with a completely fresh perspective.
If Dark had a voice of doubt, he would have taken it out behind his house and shot it years ago. It doesn't exist anymore.
Not at all, man. He's confidence personified. It is awesome to see him here, looking in great form once again.
Let's get into it, guys. At the bottom right here, currently on match point, poised to face Stats in the semi-final. Just one more map. This is the Blue Zerg, Dark!
And his opponent, down 0-2. He needs to win 3 games in a row to get back in this one. He's one of the greatest players over the last couple of years in Korea. A great ambassador for the region, and someone who needs your support more than ever right now. The Red Zerg, give it up for Solar!
This Polish crowd came in here for 14, 13 hours of StarCraft II. They want more maps, and it's up to Solar to make that happen here.
That's it. You know, we usually have this day run for something like, 13 hours. Not unusual on this day to get out of here at about 1 a.m. It's been a quicker day than usual, and Roddy was talking about it earlier. Normally, you know, if you get a few 3-0s in one round, the next round is absolutely sickening. So I'm already thinking about the semis and the finals tomorrow. But these players, they're not just yet. Solar and Dark here. It's, wow. Wow.
Another three hatch opening here. 2 hatch before pull for both players.
Wow, that's awesome. Both players here taking that little bit of a gamble. Bit of a gamble. Damn. All right. Well, I guess we're going to go straight into the mid game here. No, I mean, doesn't always mean that. Dark, of course, went for the 3 hatcheries, but what he did was just use that extra bit of lava to get aggressive. Yeah. I guess there might be a battle for map control, right? Because since you got that third up so early, it is kind of hard to secure the natural in the third so early. So usually this is a scenario where you're kind of stretched out, and the best defense becomes a good offense. So we're very likely to see Lingbane skirmishes and both players vying for control. And that's a very mechanical scenario. So I definitely favor Dark in that scenario. I'm hoping Solar really sets up his Overlords well for vision, maybe sets up a very sneaky Link counterattack, something that can like really just take the attention of Dark away, put him on the back foot. If Solar can get a bit of momentum, I've got faith in him going toe-to-toe with Dark here.
Certainly with you there. Both players getting their queens up at each base. Of course, we're trying to see where they start to differentiate a little bit here. Dark going for the early Overlord, whereas Solar straight into Ling speed, waiting for that extra bit of lava to come out before getting his own. But so that means that Dark will have an extra handful of drones for a minute, but it's really just fine hairs. It's not a big difference between either player here, with the builds being so similar and so greedy.
Yep, 3 queens on the way for both sides. Couple more workers are out here for Dark, but Solar has a very similarly timed Ling speed. Creep Tumor already on the way there for Dark, and I'm just waiting to see when those Baneling nests go down.
I've got a bit of a lull of the action here, but I mean, the biggest highlight of today to me, and it's sort of like a highlight and a low light, was the Serral versus Sue series, where it honestly was some of the best ZVZs I've ever seen.
Absolutely. I mean, it's not even Zerg versus Zerg, it's Zerg versus Serral. It's a different beast. It's its own thing at this point, and I'm sure the people watching are saying, yeah, this does seem like a different series, right? Different matchup is being played. Absolutely no one can defend like Serral and play like Serral. Both players, of course, aware of the other players opening, realizing the Banelings would be delayed. They've both decided to go Roach Warren first. Solar now up a couple of workers. They're both very similar in economy. Lots more Lings on the way for Solar. Meanwhile, Dark already going for Roaches. He skipped the Zergling speed. Did he cancel his Ling speed? Dark? He did. Oh my. Cancelled that Link speed at the last second. He's gone for the Roach tech. He's trying to wall off on 2 base now. Has Dark been too greedy? That's a lot of Lings coming over.
Third base is going to be a little bit tough to hold. Obviously, the Bastion here in that natural, that wall in, is going to be tough for the Lings to get past, with Darks, Roaches, and Queens being around there, sort of shepherding these Lings out. But the third is still rather exposed. All the Roaches of Dark are out in good numbers here, and they're actually all right to be able to stand toe-to-toe against this many Lings.
Solar does take a 10-worker advantage behind it, though. The immobility of the Roaches, the fact that they take longer to build, meaning Dark had to build more of them ahead of time to make sure he was ready for a potential flood, because the only notice you get of that as Dark is, oh, there's a few more blips on the radar on the minimap, and then suddenly there's another 30 Zerglings in your base. So being forced to over-prepare with his own Roach count. No, he leaves the door open. That's a big mistake. Solar gets absolute information and a Queen Snipe to boot.
Wow, strong start here for Solar, who's down in the series, and he needs a ledges like this to get back against Dark. Very nicely done with that run by, even getting a few drones before the Lings get picked off. Great stuff from Solar.
Flawless opening so far for Solar. Ahead on the lair. Does have the Evo chamber way ahead there as well. It's going Overlord speed very early on. The only worry I have, of course, for Solar is a Roach attack, but with Roach speed so far away, Dark adding more Queens, this is looking beautiful for Solar. Up 9 workers, ahead in the tech. You've got Overlord speed, Overseers, you've got more information. Solar has played this one perfectly.
With Overlord speed, you can start to do annoying things with Overseers like Contaminate, which we've been seeing a lot. in this matchup lately, and also using Overlords for those cheeky Nidus Worms, which have also found their way in the matchup. Solo going for that 4th base, knowing that there's not a whole lot that Dark can do about it. As Big mentioned, Roche speed has only just begun for Dark. He knows that the lair timing of Dark is only just now finishing. And he is safe to do it, just to take a bit more of a lead here economically. Dark still chilling on 3 bases. Very tough for him to take a 4th at the moment, although it looks like he might try.
Sees more drones coming out there. And Solar immediately says, all right, 2nd Evo Chamber, Hydrogen, let's go. +2 range starting up ahead there for Solar. Cancels the Hydrogen.
Interesting.
Was spotted there. Might just be going for mass roach or tunneling claws or something like that. But with 69 workers, 6 gases already in a 4th base, Solar will have a little bit of extra money to be working with.
Now, we've learned in ZVZ that +2 attack is the most important upgrade here, especially when it's Roach versus Roach or Roach Ravager versus Roach Ravager. Even Hydralisks benefit a lot from that +2 attack in these kind of battles. We are seeing the Nidus Worm from Solar, and I kind of expected that, considering he has Overlord speed. He can pop up the worm all over the place here, and it looks like that was the plan after cancelling the Hydroden.
Absolutely. Solar's got 100% map vision right now. Lots of Roaches and Ravagers in that 2-1 upgrade you're talking about. It's going to be a big window of a couple of minutes, about a minute and a half ahead. Solar is on +2 compared to Dark, and already has Overseers in position, ready to pop down those Nidus Worms on all angles. Are the Roaches going to push across on the ground as well, I wonder? Because a lot of the time you see the player kind of posture across on the middle and then start to reinforce through the Nidus into their opponent's base. Right in Dark's face. Dark already reacting very quickly. So Roach is trying to take that down from the low
the Nidus Worm's empty. He's trying to pull Dark away from the 4th base so that Solar can attack with a big ground army.
Yep, another reinforcing one at the front. Biles are going to take that down, but another one goes up just a little bit further back there. Roaches and Ravagers clashing in the middle of this map. There is a slight upgrade advantage for Dark right now, but in about 45 seconds, that's going to turn upside down. Very even numbers, but Dark here ambitiously pushing forward and taking the better engagements. The reinforce now coming out right into the battle though, but the Nidus Worm gets focused down. Dark shutting down the reinforcement path. Then despite Solar's good opening, Dark controlling these middle engagements.
Yeah, well, at the bottom of the screen, the army suppliers look so close. A good chunk of the army supply was actually inside the Nidus Worm, so it wasn't helping out Solar during those engagements. Dark overwhelming and stopping another Nidus Worm attempt at the main base, and another engagement in the middle of the map here. Going well for Dark, even catching a Ravager with his corrosive biles. Nicely done from Dark. He is just, he's a ZVZ master, man. This kid is out of control.
Yeah, Solar, I feel like he's mistimed these Nidus Worms, and he keeps morphing these Ravagers in the open, giving Dark even more free kills. He keeps picking them off, and the upgrade advantage is now here for Solar. +2 versus +1. He's got to fight this, and he's got to fight it now. He's got the Concave. Dark here, pushing very ambitiously across the map. It felt like Solar wasn't mentally prepared to take this fight, but I think he's got the angle. The Biles, though. Those Biles, the superior Ravager count of Dark, working wonders.
Yeah, Solar's upgrade advantage being shown off here, and also a lot of Roaches usually trade a little bit better against a lot more Ravagers. Another Nidus Worm here in the natural, but these Roaches do all right against Armored. These Nidus Worms are armored and get taken down relatively quickly by half a dozen Roaches. Down it goes. Solar really trying to make this Nidus tech work, but Dark is just shutting it down. I've only seen, I think, one Nidus Worm pop up here successfully for Solar, and Dark never makes it live for very long. Another big engagement in the middle. Solar pouncing in here. That upgrade advantage is still his. Maybe he can take this fight, but this choke point is so awkward to engage in.
Dark's +2 can't be far away now. Tunneling Claws and Burrow are coming forward as well. Solar here still maintaining pressure, trying another Nidus Worm in the back of the base, but once again, Dark is so quick to react. He's created so much space for himself at the front that it gives him time to respond to those Nidus Worms, but now Solar barreling down the front. He's looking for the angle. His Bile's a little bit clumped, but nonetheless forcing Dark to disengage.
Like some units actually got out of this Nidus Worm here, but not enough to actually overwhelm the defenses of Dark in the main base. Solar still with a army supply advantage. A lot of it, though, is being made at home and isn't in this fight. He's got 17 more Roaches on the way. Dark still pushing Solar back away from his army, eating some big Biles, though. Both players very, very neck and neck here, especially considering Dark is about to finish +2 attack. But he's going to have Tunneling Claws and Burrows shortly, and that's a potential big tech advantage for Dark.
The Ravager count really not as high as it could have been. Solar's lost so many Ravagers in these fights. He's only got 4 of them, and the lack of Biles is definitely something which is hurting him. Constantly losing these Nidus Worms. Dark pushing him back and maintaining control of his territory.
I know Nidus Worms are cheap, but they actually do start to cost resources when you're losing 8 or 9 of them here.
Yeah, 50 minerals and 50 gas each time does start to add up. Tunneling Claw Roaches going across Dark. If he can slide those into an undefended mineral line, he knows he's going to be in a good spot. Solar starting Spine Crawlers at home. He's realized there could be Roaches on the way, but I don't think they're going to be up in time. Solar's got a good chunk of his army actually just leaving the Nidus Worm and avoiding this fight of Dark here. They're coming back home. Looks like he might have just seen these Roaches flood on in, and he does. Unburrowed tactics here from Dark, something that Sarah will be showing a lot of DCVCs as well. Dark trying it off the sides here, getting into those mineral lines, fighting a lot of drone damage here against Cyril. Dark finding himself over 11 workers high here. He's actually 12 workers ahead of Solar at the moment. A devastating counterattack, still doing more and more damage in the third, in the natural, all over the place, and this has opened up the opportunity for Dark to push across the map. The main thrust of his army, ready to take advantage of Solar being out of position. Posturing, pushing forwards. A lot of his Roaches are wounded. I wouldn't mind Dark pulling back to heal, but he's going to try and force the issue for now. Aspire's on the way. Dark looking for a Mutalisk tech switch. He's got +2 carapace on the way as well, so he will be pushing ever so slowly towards that upgrade advantage. You don't see +2 carapace too often, but we are seeing it on the way here for Dark. Another Nidus Worm from Solar. This one is actually looking like it might be a bit more successful as Dark is distracted over here with this engagement in the middle of the map. This one's going to pop up, and I think that Solar should be able to get a hatchery cancel here. Yeah, absolutely. These Roaches are going to be able to finally get a little bit of damage here. Soul has been looking for that for so long. Dark's bank is epic. He's got like 4,000 minerals. We're on Dark's first-person camera. One of the fastest Zerg players in the world. A player who plays so well from behind. But right now, he's not even behind. He might be on the back foot positionally, but he's got Roaches. He's sliding them into those bases. You can see him moving in and trying to focus down the opponent's economy. At the same time, he's trying to move forward. He's going to dodge those biles. But Roaches sliding into his natural. Here we see him desperately trying to split his army up. Yeah, Dark is everywhere. Look at that mini-map. That's the one that's telling the tale here. You can see that Dark has got units at the third base. The Solar's got a natural as well. We got Telsa. His defense has been pulled back to deny that Nidus Worm and stop these Roaches from doing further drone damage. Both players taking a big hit to that economy, but Dark's still ahead. 11 workers here, and Solar is going for the Hail Mary Lurkers, and I think Lurkers might be a good option, but with these Mutalisks out, he's just continuing to take damage for free here. No Queen coverage, no Spore Crawler coverage. The Roach Ravager finally does clean up Solar's counterattack. Both players still maxed, but Solar taking irrecoverable economy damage. Down to 45 workers up against the 59 drones of Dark. Solar with no money in the bank. Yes, he's maxed out, but guess what? Dark has 5,000 minerals and 2,000 gas to fall back on. Dark is large and in charge. This flock of mutas causing a massive problem. And they forced out the Hydras. He's going to pick off 1 or 2 and then going to withdraw for now. The Mutalisk's rapid regeneration. Useful if you run away. It's a big if there. Well, I mean, the big story is that Dark, even if he does lose this army, he can remax quite fast as long as his lava's pretty high. And no doubt he's on top of his injects here. We got a big Roach Ravager ball here for Solar. And he's also got some Lurkers as well. Very nice biles, yeah. And Dark actually losing the concave here. Solar starting to press the advantage. But he's going to eat big biles if he wants to force the issue here. The Ravagers of Dark being used fantastically, just spraying down those biles. He says you cannot force this fight. Eats 1 or 2 of his own, but at the same time, the Muta's in the rally point causing havoc. Multitasking like a madman is Dark. Those Mutalisks still finding damage. He splits off his army to the hatchery on the right-hand side here at the top. North spawn of Solar getting taken down. It looks like Solar might be able to defend it though. Reinforcement Roaches coming on down. A lot more Roaches than Dark. Solar even bringing in the Lurkers as well to help out and solidify this defense. Lurkers are one of the most powerful splash damage anti-ground units. Oh my lord, Solar! Stop walking into those biles, please, for the love of Roaches everywhere. It's such a chaotic game, obviously. There's things going on in so many areas at once. Right now, 4 bases for Dark, 5 for Solar. Solar still down low on economy. Those Lurkers, though, are his resource. One of them gets sniped down. He's only got 1 Lurker. I don't think Solar can push. His army's lower, and 1 Lurker's not going to cut it. I think he's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place here, Pig. If he goes home, he's just behind an economy. If he attacks, he's behind an army supply. And Dark has so much of a bank that Solar actually can't afford to lose anything right now. He can't lose drones, he can't lose units. I love this from Solar, though. Relatively cheap maneuver here to send a few Roaches into each mineral line to try and solidify a worker lead again. That is disgusting there. Beautiful Roaches burrowing their way into the mineral line, taking down the undefended workers. A clash in the middle of the map begins, but both players quickly disengaging, respecting the corrosive biles. The Roaches in the main as well, not really getting that many kills. Solar not microing these Roaches as well as Dark. Remember, Dark's Roaches were often getting 10, 12 workers each time they got in there. Solar's not finding quite as many. But that being said, Solar's weathered the storm for now. He's getting close to maxed out. Similar economy. He's got a lot more lurkers out as well. I don't think he has a hive, so definitely no adaptive talons. But nonetheless, these lurkers can do some big damage.
Yeah, certainly. They're making things a little bit tough for Dark to tie a bow on this one. It's hard to finish off a guy that has lurkers when you don't have them yourself. Even with overwhelming army supply, a bunch of terrible trades against lurkers actually could spell Solar coming back in this game. I mean, Solar just needs to slow things down, keep Dark away so that he can expand and just amass a bit of a bank. Dark continuing to just throw units at him.
Yeah, I mean, right now the economy is actually dead even. Obviously, Dark has Bank. Bank is not the most important thing. It's how well you can use your late game units. The real problem here is the Hive is... Okay, I was going to say the Hive is not on the way for Solar. As I said, that he starts up his own Hive. So both players are going to go to Vipers, and the game will slow down. What?
What? Well, I guess they're dead.
No, that's like 16 roaches. I kept looking at them like, are those changelings? I'm like, changelings don't turn into roaches. Ping loses a lot of them. A few of them are going to tunnel in, but Dark, as I mentioned this earlier, you know, Solar struggled earlier against Ragnarok in the multitasking. Dark definitely the faster player of the two, and when the game gets scrappy, he does tend to come out on top, but Solar using as much of his APM as possible to queue more roaches, and he will find little bits of damage. Lurkers in the middle! Oh, that's a big mistake. Two of them go down immediately. A third one almost gets focused down. Ooh.
Yeah, these are losses that Solar really can't afford that much. While his bank is getting a little bit higher, it's not super great. We have a very, very hard to attack into Dark, and attacking without adaptive talons is quite tough for these lurkers as well. He does have a nice high ground here. Ooh, loses another lurker to the biles.
Yeah, just copping the edge of that bile to the face. That lurker does go down. The lurker count, each time it gets smaller, it's really bad. Right now, if Dark takes a pitched battle, he will lose this game. If he just fights head-to-head against the lurkers, he's dead. But notice how he's zoning. He's slowing down the lurkers from getting to his side of the map. He says, look, whenever they're unburrowed, I can engage, pick off a lurker or two, and then pull back. And you'll notice how Solar, so desperate to fight at Dark side of the map, is unable to force it to happen. He's just being slowed down, held back, and the counterattacks are continuing from Dark.
There he is. He's running into the third base here of Solar, chopping into that hatchery. There's only one spike roller, and that is not going to be enough to cut the mustard here. Solar also going for burrow tactics, finding more drone damage, both players tearing each other apart. Dark and Solar actually pulling back to defend against this harassment. Meanwhile, the main attack in the middle is about to clash again.
Oh,
another lurker.
Every single time, Dark is so on top of this. He knows he doesn't have the best answer to it right now, so he's so on top of shutting that down. He does lose another 8 drones to even more tunneling claw roaches, but he never gives up position in the center of the map. Solar keeps splitting those roaches off, trying to pull Dark away so that his lurkers can move forward, but now he's run out of time. He still thinks he can push with the lurkers. Guess what? There's 4 Vipers and 12 lurkers of his own on Dark side of the map. Adaptive Talons, the lurker speed upgrade, which is basically permanent stim pack for lurkers, is on the way. Ooh. And nice corrosive biles, but a good dodge by Solar.
Nice control of those lurkers now. The adaptive talent making it a lot easier. It's going to deny +3 attack upgrades here for Dark as well. Nice little edge there, but the Vipers are a huge advantage for Dark. He can yoink these lurkers out, but blinding clouds stopping the lurkers from doing anything for Solar. Dark dives to try and get rid of Solar's attack.
But the lurkers repositioning out of the corrosive bile. Dark eating horrendous biles.
Wow.
Every time he moves forward. A decisive move from Dark. He walks forward and he eats the fist of Solar's army. A brutal engagement. Dark spending his entire bank here, but he's got so much to work with, and that might be his saving grace. Dark, yes, he's down in supply. He's got a little bit of money left. He needs to clear this out with his units that are popping out.
Well, he's still taking damage. There's a couple roaches and a Hydralisk or two, and some lurkers here from Solar, continuing to be very annoying in the natural here from Dark. Dark's bank is starting to get sub 1,000 here. The gas also a big part of the problem for Dark at the moment. And he does have adaptive talents now. Oh, what's Solar still rallying in units here for free?
This game
Solar,
is absolute
stop that!
chaos.
Stop that, bad Solar, no! Paul, no, Solar, no, bad Solar! Solar, no, Solar, no! Put it down, bad Solar! No, come on, that's... What a naughty Zerg. Always on the newspaper, please. Do it outside. Oh my god.
Nonetheless, a good comeback for Solar, but the supplies are tied up, and now the lurker speed's done there for Dark. He's got the forward position, and most importantly, he's got that Viper advantage.
Oh man, these lurkers are so hard for Solar to deal with. He doesn't have Vipers of his own. He's got 3 of his own actually. Have they got any juice though? Looks like they got a fair bit. It's going to try and yoink those lurkers out, or even Blinding Cloud of his own. Army supply is still quite close. Both players amazingly quite close at economy as well as base count.
Oh, I mean, this is such an amazing situation for Dark with those Adaptive Talons lurkers, and the Vipers adding so much utility. Gets the base snipe, and I think he should just leave. Dark's rebuilt some economy. I mean, actually, there is still that lurker causing a lot of damage back there, but he's got a base or two uplining. Dark's economy took some massive hits earlier. He's back up to 31 drones, and with fresher bases than Solar, I think his income's probably going to end up very similar, maybe even slightly ahead. Roach is still being annoying here for Solar. +3 ranges on the way for Solar, so he's going to get better upgrades. Without Vipers, though, I don't know. How many Vipers are left for Dark? He lost a few of them.
Got 2 versus 3 here.
Oh, man, it comes down to that.
Be careful not to kill this hatchery at the front.
Yeah, this all comes down to the micro. They're going to try and abduct each other's Vipers and focus them down with the Hydras, most likely. Whoever gets the abducts down first could end up winning this.
Oh, he's got the Vipers! The Vipers getting yoinked right into Solar's army, but he also eats a Blinding Cloud, also loses Vipers of his own. Dark has a lot more Hydralisks here.
Ooh, a couple good biles do land, but the Lurker ambush, he's going to pull back to his Lurkers. Solar loses a lot in the retreat, and he's got his own Roaches on the counter-attack, though. That's massive. Finds the unprotected base. We've got this army, though, of Dark. Oh, the Lurker flanked the Hydras, cutting off Solar's retreat. Solar's trapped between a Lurker and a hard place, and he's got to get home to defend his economy.
With all these amazing ZVZs, we're so spoiled. We got the Roaches and the Ravagers and the Hydras of Dark with Lurker coverage heading into the natural of Solar. Solar needing to defend it, though. He's got a couple Lurkers of his own. Well, has to pull back, though. He's in the convex versus the concave. Tasteless will tell you how that one goes. It's not very good here for Solar.
Yeah, but abducting one of those key Lurkers out of the ground. Good move by Solar. Moves his own Lurkers forward. The splash damage is paramount. Even with the inferior supply, Solar can still bring this back. Those Roaches doggedly finding a way into the last vestiges of Dark's economy. He captures a corner of the units there. His Roaches on the other side of the map, a few of them escaping. This base on the low ground is burning. It is Dark's last little bit of economy. If we take a look at that base at the front, it's very low on life, and there's more units coming in. If they can snipe that, it's going to be all over for Dark. He's lost most of his important units. I think he's still got a couple Vipers, though, and it's their job to even out the army supply disparity.
This is one of the greatest comebacks I've ever seen in this matchup. Solar doing everything right for so long here against Dark. Dark playing like a god as well. Nice yoink there on that Lurker, also grabbing a Ravager. Oh man, Solar doesn't have that much army here, but that Lurker covering his retreat.
Roaches and Hydras pushing forward, the single Lurker coming good. Solar making the overwhelming battle. That Blinding Cloud was brilliant. And a nice abduct pulls that Lurker to its death. But the drones are in the battle, and that's never a good sign. The last Roaches and Hydras
Solar fighting back, what a comeback. He was down a bank of 5,000 minerals, 3,000 gas, but the decision making from Solar, oh my god. No 7th 3-0 pig.
Woohoo! That's right.
We got ourselves a series, ladies and gentlemen.
We got a full house here for a reason. It's because people want to watch a lot more StarCraft, and Solar promising us at least one more game. And what a way to do it. Hell, maybe you haven't watched StarCraft in 5 or 6 years and you think Zerg vs. Zerg's boring. What a surprising day it's been for you if you've just tuned in. The match with Serral before and Sue was insane. Now here, Dark and Solar delivering as well.
All the way back at Serral versus Rogue in the semifinals at BlizzCon. We can even go further back to Sue versus Rogue in that grand final at BlizzCon.
Yes.
And people still say ZVZ is boring? Wake up, sheeple! It's 2019 and ZVZ is amazing. If these players are closely matched, anything is possible.
This is an overwhelming moment for a lot of us watching, and for Solar, it's the moment where he gathers himself, gets that little bit of momentum back, a bit of confidence bringing back that game. And Dark, an unfortunate wake-up call there after a very smooth start to the day. He's gonna need to step things up again. He had his moments in that last game. Thought he had it once or twice, but Solar fighting back. Great gumption.
Indeed. And does this shatter the composure of Dark? I highly doubt it. Even though that was a hard game and no doubt it's exhausted both these players here, Dark's still looking quite composed, just thinking about his game plan for the next game. Of course, you cast your mind all the way back at the beginning of that ZVZ, which was quite lengthy. They both started with that double hatch before spawning pool build. And it just seems like both of them seem pretty comfortable with it.
Yeah, it was really weird, and they kind of scouted the other ones and were like, oh, you did it too? All right, we'll just go straight to the roaches, no worries. It was really nice opening from Solar, to be honest, following that up. You know, a bit of speedling pressure. Dark thought there would be like a sort of gentleman's agreement greed level going on, where he cancelled his Zergling speed, tried to go to roaches, and so he was a little bit behind in the mid-game because he had to build a lot of roaches to stay safe early on while Solar was powering ahead in the drones, but stabilized from there and progressed forward. You know, Dark's defense of the Nidus Worms was absolutely impressive. So let's go into the map. Potentially the final map of today. I'm hoping it's the second last. Down here in the bottom right, he needs one more game to finish this best of 5 and go through to the semis. Give it up for Dark!
And in the top left, with an incredible comeback on King's Cove. If he hasn't earned your love as a fan, I don't know what else he has to do. This is Triumphant Song Gaming's Solar!
Nice early hatch first there for Solar. And on the other side, for Dark, it's a 12 pool. Everybody's favorite rush this game, this tournament. It's been very common. I don't think there's a drone on the map this time, though. It is the end of a long day. I'm blind and I'm peering at my mini-map. There is not.
This is the regular gasless 12 pool that actually turns into a bit of a macro build. You put on pressure with 6 lings, expand behind it, and then drone up from there, trying to give yourself the edge by, at best, picking off the hatchery. But usually what it results in is a bit of drone damage, with the other player deciding, you know, do I wait for lings? Do I drone pull? If so, how much? There's a bit of a delicate balance there. But we're seeing the first 6 lings of Dark heading across the map. Well, he's going to get 4 more, though.
Yeah.
Usually there's drones behind this.
Oh, a lot of the time you could do up to about 10 Zerglings.
Okay.
Anything after that, if we don't see, if we see, okay, even 12. All right, going up to 12 Zerglings. Any more than that is where it does get a little bit weird. But basically at this point, it's just trying to, of course, get that number. You know, 6 Zerglings, the drone pool can deal with that sometimes, but then the 8th comes, the 10 drones, the 10 Zerglings, and suddenly the drones have to back on out of it. Solar here, obviously going to let that hatchery finish. You don't want to cancel against this, going to build his own Zerglings. Is he going to pull drones to save this? Yes.
He is, okay. Well, it looks like he really wants to save that hatchery, and I don't blame him. Come the drones from Solar. Just trying to buy time for his own Zerglings to come and be part of the battle. Just buying time here.
Engage, disengage, that's the name of the game. But that hatchery's already so low, I think Solar might be forced to fight before he wants to. 2 of his Zerglings getting surrounded. One of them goes down already. He's looking for that angle, but even more Zerglings coming in here for Dark. You might have to wait for the Queen before you can really take a pitched battle as Solar.
Similar ling counts for both players. Couple of Dark slings. And he does have an army supply advantage, but a couple of them are on the way here. We got a bit of a drone pull as well from Solar, trying to get on the edge in this battle.
Yep. Nice defense there by Solar, all things considered. The worker count is tied at the end of that, but Solar has 100 gas in the back. Oh, we left his Overlord too close!
Losing that Overlord really does suck. Solar is supply blocked right now. Look how long he has to wait for this Overlord to finish. Not going to be able to produce anything.
That's a real pain in the butt. Definitely not what he wanted there. Of course, you're so busy microing, you don't have time to look at that. So once you realize there's Zerglings coming, you always need to remember to cue that Overlord backwards. Solar forgetting it here under the pressure. These Zerglings, a lot of them going down for free. Tried to sneak the Zergling scout in on the right-hand side. Did not work out. He's worried because what have we seen so much as a follow-up to this build in this tournament? We've seen someone just go mass speedling off 12 drones. It's happened like 6 times. It's a build you normally only see in the lower end of the Grandmaster ladder, down maybe in the Platinum League, but we've seen it like 6 different times in this tournament. Solar paranoid about it, sacrifices about 8 Zerglings. Scout sees a lot of drones and says, okay, you're doing a normal follow-up, you're doing a gasless build, you're not going to have Zergling speed, I've got all the freedom in the world, and Solar's response to that is quick Mutalisk play. Ooh, actually just going to go up to the Roaches.
Evo. Yeah, it should be Roaches here with +1 attack. And he is just going to have to hold off and get a bit of a wall up here.
It's a very fast lair for Roaches, actually.
Yeah, very fast lair.
Could be a fake Evo chamber. Could be a fake Evo chamber, but no more gases tells us, yeah, very unlikely to be Mutas.
There is a couple fakes out there, or if he did have 4 gases, he actually looked like you're going for Roaches with +1 attack, but you're actually getting a Spire and being a cheeky. But this is a relatively regular follow-up here for Solar against Dark, who is also going for Roaches of his own. He's got the lair at the moment. Dark, did he start? I didn't pay attention to the production tab, unfortunately. And now he's still on hatchery tech. Okay.
We are going to see Dark establishing a bit of map control, tons of Roaches, tons of Lings, Ling speed. Dark says, you know what, I've got one more game to spare. if you lose, you're out, and I'm going to take the fight to you. The Queen's pushing back Solar's vision. Solar losing all of his vision on the opponent's side of the map, and he has no idea that there is a ton of roaches, a swell of Zerglings coming out. Dark going to potentially be pushing across with a big attack.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit tough to stop here for Solar, who's trying to expand right now, so it doesn't have a ton of creep spread either, so the Queen's going to be tough to be a part of the battle, and his natural is still so weak that if a bunch of units manage to sneak into that natural, that's an easy hatch pick-off there for Dark, and here he comes across the map. Solar is just about to see it with his Overlord at the front here.
It's a weird attack, but Solar's got so few units right now, it might be able to get a snipe on the third base. Such an odd attack. Carapace and Link Speed on the way behind this. I mean, Solar's just got to pull back and just defend this choke point. Don't let the Zerglings get us around, and he should be okay. He realizes this is something a bit bizarre coming out of Dark. Dark gonna go for the cancel on that third base, and it looks like he will be able to get it.
Yeah, I mean, that's not the end of the game here, but it certainly is a nice little edge there for Dark, who's getting his own hatchery up back at home, and also a macro hatchery at the main base, looking like he's gonna make a ton more lings here.
Macro hatch on the way. We saw this build coming out earlier on in this tournament once or twice. Scarlet, in fact, was trying something very similar herself. That Evo Chamber, he needs a transfuse. The transfuse goes down, but the +1, it gets denied.
Wow.
Oh, 3 seconds from finishing. Solar has got to be so mad at that. He's going to try and chase him down.
And he can still overwhelm with Roach Supply. Oh no, Dark going for the surround here. Catching some Roaches separated from the pack. A bunch to the front. Cannot retreat to the high ground here. Turning into Ravagers to try and mitigate the Ling damage. But the Lings are still doing a lot with the Roaches of Dark also helping from the back line. Solar's Roach count though is high enough to stand and fight.
That was an impressive ambush from Dark, but the Roach speed, the micro from Solar, just too good. He overwhelms, turns the ambush on its head, takes down all the Roaches on the map. Solar, even in the midst of the chaos, says, you know what you would never expect as a next step? Aspire. It's on the way behind this. He's going to go into Mutalist. Meanwhile, Dark, stuck on this Carapace. Roach Ravager Zergling tech. Is there even a lair out for Dark?
I think he's still on hatchery tech, man. I just haven't seen it in the production tabs yet. Yeah, he's just still on hatcheries.
It's a scary attack that could come out, though. If he gets up to like 6 or 7 Ravagers and mass Zergling, I hope Solar stops droning and just builds Roaches until the Spire is ready. Mutas will shut this down by sniping down the Ravagers, but until then, the way this attack can work is the Carapace upgrade cancels out the +1 range upgrade. Your Lings surround, trap your opponent in place, and allow your Corrosive Biles to land. That's what was really missing from that last ambush. There were no Biles to really land the big punch once the Zerglings held the Roaches in place.
Solar's overseer sees this move out here from Dark, sees some Roaches and Ravagers moving on forward, but we know that they're probably the biggest threat here are the Lings. The Speedy Boys here flooding on through. The Changeling saw it.
Oh, he knows, and he's going to give up the third, I believe. He's got to make sure he doesn't get surrounded. Solar, you've got to be careful. The Lings swinging around the right. The Lings are ready to trap him. Oh, Solar caught out in the open. The Lings coming in from behind. A massive surround from Dark.
There are still so many Roaches from Solar, though. While the Queens may go down here, the Roaches can stand and fight all right against these Ravagers. They pull it back to the third base. There is some surface area for them to deny these Lings. They're coming on in. Wow. They're getting lower in hit point, though. Dark pressing here with these Ravagers. Mutas coming in for Solar, but there's not that many. Oh, the reinforcements diving on those Ravagers. The third base is forfeit by the looks of things. Does Dark get stopped here, though? I just don't think so.
He's got to do more. He's got to do more damage. The pressure's on for Dark. He has to break in and get on top of the workers, and it looks like he will. The Mutalisks clearing them out. Actually, Roaches have just popped out of the third. They're coming into support. Those drones need to get out of there. They are trying to run for Solar, trying to evade the Lings and Roaches. The Mutas raining down death from above. Dark's attack, just when you think it's starting to slow, another wave of Zerglings floods into the main. There's no defenses there. It might just be too much.
Absolute carnage here in this game. The Lings do die quite quickly to the Mutalisk Glaives and to the Roaches, but the Lings fighting another exposed Queen. Down it goes. He's killed 6 drones. Solar and Dark on similar economies, both of them quite low. Dark starting to drone up behind this, feeling like maybe he's done the damage and he can't finish this game off.
The drones trying to drill to safety, but so many going down in the process. The drones forced to fight the main, forced to fight the natural. It's never a scenario you want against Zerglings. More and more of those drones going down. That Zergling even landing one last strike on the red hit point drone. 11 workers in total go down in that last stage of that. Solar down to 33 workers versus 42. He's 2 base versus 3. He's got Mutalisks out, but he knows he does not have a lot to work with.
He's lost 44 Roaches in this game, and 170-something Lings have died there for Dark. what an absolute bloodbath, as you would say, Pig. We got these mutants from Solar trying to find damage where they can, but this rally of Queens, this reinforcement of Dark, I don't see how Solar stops this time.
That pack of Queens is indomitable. It's unstoppable. The mutants can't fight that. A couple of roaches come out. That there is the face of a man who's trying to solve an unsolvable puzzle. He's looking at it from every angle, and he realizes there is no solution. The numbers do not lie. Dark are going to go through.
GG. Dark favored in this matchup. Solar giving a lot of his fans hope there with that fantastic comeback, and I'll stand by saying one of the best comebacks I have seen in CVC, but Dark proving to be too strong in the end. He will go on to face Stats in the semi-final.
Awesome play there by Dark. Amazing way to close out that series. Things weren't looking so good at some points, but he has the willpower. He wants to make it through, and he does indeed to another semi-finals. We'll be back with an interview with Dark. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 1 minute.